Creed 2 was directed by Stephen Caple Jr. and once again stars Michael B. Jordan and Sylvester Stallone after the excellent first film that I have sat here and said is the greatest legacy movie of all time. Donnie has now become the world heavyweight champion, and his next big challenger is Victor Drago. If the name Drago doesn't sound familiar to you and you've watched the Rocky movies, you've pretty much been living under a rock. This is the son of Ivan Drago, played by the returning Dolph Lundgren, the same guy who killed Adonis's father in the ring in an infamous fight back in Rocky IV. So now, under the guidance of Rocky Balboa himself, Donnie trains for the showdown of his life. It's a date with destiny that soon becomes his obsession. This bleeds over into his personal life as well, as he confronts some new challenges with his now fiancée Bianca, played again by Tessa Thompson. And I remember going into this movie being a little bit skeptical back in 2018, because the first Creed movie was just so darn good, and I was like, where the heck did they go from here? And little did I know the next logical step was to take this boxing match at the end and make it even more personal. And the bad blood and the fate that brings these two together is just so palpable. And Creed 2 captures this family feud so freaking well. I love this movie too, because again, I feel like it takes what worked so well about the first movie and it puts this whole new spectacular flair onto things. The boxing matches in Creed 2 look absolutely breathtaking. The direction behind them from Stephen Caple Jr. is something else. There's a lot of great slow motion sequences in here that really just, as someone who's a big fan of that cliche, warmed my heart to see that on the big screen. This is also a DP who has worked on a bunch of Game of Thrones episodes, and you can really tell this is like a Shakespearean bloodbath here. And the fights in this movie really, again, much like the first movie, nothing as impressive as the one take from the initial Creed movie, but it really makes you feel so immersed in everything. And it really does feel like so much is on the line, because you have these likable characters that you met in the first movie, and there's a lot of crazy stuff happening to them, and you want to see them overcome all those obstacles. Michael B. Jordan, I feel like, outdoes himself in this movie. He is truly one of the greatest actors of his generation, because when he gets going, the tears start flowing, and you just really, you can't help but feel for this guy. If he didn't have a chip on his shoulder in the initial movie, this one, absolutely, you could sense that there is something gigantic haunting him. And now, ironically enough, after playing Killmonger earlier in 2018, Michael B. Jordan is coming across like a public avenger. He's going in the ring and he is fighting a man whose father was responsible for his dad not being on the planet anymore. Which brings me to the Dragos. Now, if you remember my review for Rocky IV, I had some stuff to say about Ivan Drago and how he was portrayed as this big old video game character injected with steroids. As silly as Rocky IV was, and as crazy as Dolph Lundgren comes across in that film, it is unbelievable how grounded in reality him and his son Victor are. Because these aren't just bad guys who are muscle bound and just punching things. They have a lot of emotional gravitas towards them as well. Ivan Drago was humiliated because of his loss to Rocky Balboa in his hometown. He was basically blackballed by his entire country. His wife had left him up to this point, and now he's training his son, who is just absolutely hulking and massive and intimidating in his own right. And now he's got a chip on his shoulder too. And just to see this whole arc and to see it all play out, it was such a great, welcoming surprise to see the Dragos portrayed as humans. You know, and not just like massive cyborg video game characters that Rocky Balboa goes in to defeat. Florian Munteanu, really great as Victor. Dolph Lundgren also, man oh man, please do not overlook his performance. That might have been one of the best performances he's ever given. Across the board in Creed 2, the acting is all fantastic. Love Tessa Thompson as Bianca in this. She's given so much more to do. Much like in the sequel to Rocky, Donnie also proposes to Bianca, and he gets advice from Rocky Balboa in the funniest way. When Rocky is recounting how he proposed to Adrian at the zoo, which is a very sweet scene in and of itself, Donnie is just so, like, he's flustered. He's so confused that that's all it took. And that's something I didn't necessarily mention about the first movie that I really loved. This movie is really funny as well. It's got a sense of humor. Yeah, just be careful, Rocky. Here you go. There he is. We had to separate him. He was fighting with the other inmates. Just little lines like that just makes you love these characters so much more. But getting back to Tessa Thompson, her chemistry with Jordan in this movie it just feels like they are such a real married couple dealing with real life problems. And they welcome a daughter in this movie who turns out to be deaf. Of course, inherited through hereditary genes because, as we learned in the first movie, Bianca is dealing with progressive hearing loss. But Amara here just loses it straight out. And it is such a heartbreaking scene when they have the test going on this little child and just the reactions that they both give as the test is being conducted. But their last name is Creed. This is a family of fighters, and that's exactly what they do. And that's why this movie is so freaking inspiring. Sylvester Stallone also, of course, gives a great performance in his signature role. This is a character that also is dealing with estrangement from his son, something that's carried over from Rocky Balboa, which is a very strained relationship in and of itself. This time around, it's like, okay, this son wants nothing to do with him. And Rocky himself is kind of scared to actually go and try and make peace with his son, just out of fear that he'll get dejected and all that. And that leads to such a satisfying conclusion to this movie after a very, very exciting final battle between Creed and Drago in Moscow. After Ivan Drago, ironically enough, throws in the towel for his son who doesn't want to give up because he has his own chip on his shoulder. That's a great moment in its own right. But this is spoilers, just in case you've never seen Creed 2. But I absolutely love how they intersplice Donnie talking to his father's tombstone and introducing him to the new Creed legacy. And then Rocky going to see his son and meet his grandson for the first time, which just, that embrace that they share. Phew. Rocky going back home to his blood, it's just like, that's what this is all about. Now, there might be a lot of people, critics and regular moviegoers alike, that might hound on Creed 2 just because, oh, this is just the Rocky formula. We're getting training montages and boxing matches, yada, yada, yada. Inspirational speeches left and right. That's the Rocky franchise, though. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. As long as the formula is accomplished well enough and it's executed to its highest potential, I don't mind that this movie is formulaic. I don't mind that we get this hellish training montage in a Mojave Desert. I don't mind that we get 3 boxing sequences in here. I don't mind that Sylvester Stallone is spouting off life advice left and right. Because the direction and the performances and the characters are all so well realized that you don't really care. I think Creed 2 is a solid sequel that Stephen Caple Jr. should absolutely be proud of. I can't wait to see what that guy does next. I believe he's directing the next Transformers movie this summer, if I'm not mistaken. God, let's hope he can at least give that franchise a good movie. But guys, I can't recommend enough to go and revisit Creed 2. I haven't revisited this movie as much as the original, mainly because that one, oh man, I just have so much more nostalgic memories with that first one that I'm just never gonna forget. Creed 2 was definitely a great experience. It's a lot of fun to watch, and it does what every worthy sequel should do in the end. I'm gonna give Creed 2 an A. And guys, that was the last stop on the road to Creed 3. I can't wait to discuss that movie with you guys this upcoming week. It's going to be a lot of fun to check out Jonathan Majors come into this franchise. Let me know what you thought of Creed 2 down in the comments section below. And let me know what your favorite Rocky entry has been so far up to this point. And if you're a new viewer, don't forget to become a subscriber and tap on that bell so you don't miss another second of this action. Hit that thumbs up as well, because if you love discussing all new things in cinema and entertainment, we've already built such a great community, and this all helps in continuing to grow it. Guys, y'all are the best. Stay tuned for more videos very, very soon. And with all that being said, Back Talk, commence.